Bandicoot 2. Cortex strikes back. Press start to begin.
I think he said it best. Hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back.
Crystals. Of course.
But Dr. Cortex, to reach full power, we need not only your master crystal, but also the remaining 25 slave crystals from the surface. How do you expect to retrieve them when we don't have any earthbound operatives left?
You fool! Do you think I'm unaware of the situation? If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we need to find an enemy.
Crash? Crash? Crash! My battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
And it begins. And if you're wondering where exactly Tana is from Crash 1, she's basically wiped from existence. Her only other appearance in the Crash series after Crash 1 is actually in, I think, the racing game. Or was it, was it Crash Bad? One of the two spin-offs on the PlayStation. And then we're starting off, Crash actually has a few more moves to his arsenal. Namely, he can crouch, do a high jump when jumping while crouched, and if you press that crouch button, which is circle or R1 while running, you can do a slide. And if you actually slide after jumping, you get a really, really far-reaching slide jump, and that's gonna come in handy throughout the game. Also, you can do a ground pound by pressing circle in midair. Yeah, okay, that's different. You ever feel like you've just been reconstructed somewhere else?
Well, well, well. If it isn't Crash Bandicoot, welcome. I apologize for the crude means used to bring you here, but I rather expect a written invitation would have been turned down. I need your help. Surrounding you are a series of 5 doors. Through each door lies a well-hidden crystal. The crystals look like this. Bring me the crystals, Crash. That is all I will say for now. We will speak again.
You know, I'm getting the feeling we shouldn't trust him. But either way, this is our hub. Gone are the level maps from Crash 1. Now we actually just have outright warp rooms to each of the 5 levels within a tier. And the first level of the game is Turtle Woods. However, we're not starting it off quite yet, because if you enter the level and leave almost immediately without grabbing the crystal at all, we actually get treated to several more cutscenes from Cortex himself here in the Warp Hub.
No, Crash. I said bring me the crystals! Now, get back in there.
I forget the exact number off the top of my head, even though the timeline's right in front of me. I want to say he has 4 or 5 different cutscenes that happen, depending on whether or not you actually decide to come back out without doing it. You get a trophy for doing this in the N.Gin trilogy.
No, Crash! To save the world, I need crystals. Crystals! One more time. They look like this. Crystals, Crash! Go back through one of those doors and bring me crystals!
I forget if you just need to do it once to get the trophy in N.Gin trilogy, though, if you need to do it the maximum amount of times. I want to err on it being, getting him to the last cutscene of this.
Look above the doorways. Above each, there is a big crystal-shaped slot. Fill all 5 crystal slots in this warp room by retrieving 1 crystal from each of the 5 areas. Only after we have filled all of the slots in this room can we continue on our quest. This is the last time I will remind you.
Alright, now we can actually get into Turtle Woods as a level. Although, we're not going to be playing this level in the usual method when we get into it. Because Crash Bandicoot 2's gimmick is still a hallway platformer where there are boxes, and you want to reach the destroy every box in the level when you reach the end to get a gem. Crystals are more or less just an along the way goal. However, back from Crash 1 are colored gems. However, they're not standard gems in how you get them. Whereas in Crash 1, the colored gems were gotten the exact same way as the clear gems by reaching the end of the level without dying and destroying every box. In Crash 2 onwards, they have different methods of being obtained just to make them a bit more special. In the case of this level, you have to get through this level without destroying a single box to get the blue gem. Although I believe this was the red gem at some point in development. And I'm just getting this out of the way now. The only way you're supposed to know you can do this is if you come back into the level after getting the clear gem and you go towards the end of the level, there's actually now a blue gem standing there, kind of transparent, saying like the amount of boxes you've broken, I think out of 0. The N.Gin Trilogy just gives you a better hint by saying that you might get something nice if you're kind to the boxes in this level. Now, one thing I can abuse the ever-living hell out of in this game, by the way, nice, well-hidden crystal there, Cortex, is that with the long slide jump, not only can you get on a lot of the level terrain that way to avoid platforming stuff like that, but there's a bit of a glitch, I think it's called an extended long jump, where if you slide, then press the jump and spin button simultaneously, you get a much higher jump that also goes a bit farther, and I love using that glitch. Either way, commit suicide just so we can actually go through Turtle Woods proper as a level, and we'll get into what's different about the game when we get through it, or at least in terms of the way the setups are. These boxes still take 10 hits to break, though, even though that still annoys me. That's one thing I will always love Crash 3 and the N.Gin Trilogy for changing, is that the multi-Wumpa Fruit crates, boxes, whatever, only take 5 hits to break as opposed to 2. 10, rather. Also, while I'm doing it right now, the ground pound, I guess belly flop's a more accurate way to put it, can also break specific kind of metal reinforced boxes that you're going to find along the way, though they don't usually show up, I think, until I want to say the second or third tier of levels. Either way, if you want to know the exact box total for Turtle Woods, there are exactly 62 here, 5 of them are in the bonus, and 27 of them are here on this second secret route. In terms of interesting things about this level, though, there was actually going to be a secondary type of armadillo enemy at one point in development on this specific route, which I think appears in a level later on anyway, which were basically reinforced armadillos that you couldn't kill without, I think, spinning. But they're not here. Okay, these ostriches suck, even though I love the way they look. See how they knock you down like that? Because of that, I actually have to kill myself and come back over here. You need to have really good reflexes in order to actually jump off them, so that might take some practice. Though I believe doing the secret jump I talked about earlier, it is possible to get there, up there otherwise. Now, a little bit earlier, we saw a new green type of box that this one is actually very important to. Those are nitro crates. They're essentially the TNT crates from the first game, which return in this game as it is, only they explode on contact, so they become dangerous obstacles you need to avoid no matter what. However, the green exclamation point box I span into a moment ago is what you need to find in order to destroy those, because nitro crates do count for your box total. Though in the case you want to be dumb, or well, I guess reckless is the better term for it, you could just grab an Aku Aku like I have now, be it 1, 2, or 3, and just run into the nitro crates to break them all the same. Bonus rounds return from Crash 1, only now they're not how you save. They are purely for box stuff, unlike Crash 1, and there's one in every level now, and they're very easy to find because they're always along the main path. Though I think there's actually a glitch that can get you stuck in that particular bonus round that's, like, really precise to do. As with Crash 1, though, when you collect an Aku Aku, when you already have one, you just get it to be orange and you can take 2 hits, 2 extra hits, rather. So essentially, Crash is at his max HP now, barring the invincibility power you get if you get a third Aku Aku. Got a bit of a tricky box up there. There are a couple of those in this game. 3 off the top of my head that I can think of that really stink. Now, notable, Crash Insane Trilogy, which, by the way, hello again, very well hidden crystal. Seriously, Cortex, can't find that? Crash Insane Trilogy would later add speedrun relics to Crash 2, which was a thing that Crash 3 introduced. In terms of getting the gold relic, which is what you need for a trophy in the Insane Trilogy, the gold relic time for this stage is 56 seconds, 87 hundredths of a second. That's pretty easy to do after you beat the game, though, because you actually get the dash boots from Crash 3 in Insane Trilogy Crash 2 after you beat the game. And that's Turtle 1's complete 100%. And after every level, you get this little cutscene of throwing the gems up there just to show you that, hey, you did it. And hey, it's the introduction of the ever-so-lovable Crash dance. Crash, you really got a lot more personality in this game compared to 1.
Well done, Crash. I knew I could rely on you. Now listen carefully. These holograms are hard to maintain. During the course of my intellectual pursuits, I have stumbled across a force that threatens to destroy the world. Crystals are the only means of containing it. The fate of the world is at stake. It is imperative, therefore, that you bring them to me.
There, Crash? Crash! Crash! Are you there? Are you there, Crash?
I don't know exactly how those hologram systems work. Either way, replacing the Tana saves and gem saves from the last game is just an outright save screen. Unfortunately, I don't have the memory, so I guess I'm going throughout this game saveless. Great. Either way, time for our second level, Snow Go. There are 74 total boxes in this stage, 10 of which are in the bonus. However, we actually cannot 100% this stage the first way round through. We can get all the boxes in the crystal, but we can't quite get everything else. Notable, if you want to get the gold relic in the Insane Trilogy, you need to beat this level in under 49 seconds and 64 hundredths. Also, introducing in Crash 2, now fresh to Crash 2 rather, is ice physics, because we actually have ice levels. And when you're on the ice, you slip and slide as you'd expect with actual, like, momentum. But if you want to reach max momentum immediately, just do a slide and you can fly pretty quickly with that. The biggest threat within these ice stages, though, isn't even any of the enemies or the ice itself. There is one particular hazard exclusive to these levels in these crushers. These stone ones activate the moment you walk under them, so you want to slide under them. There's also wooden ones that slam down no matter what within a certain amount of time. They eventually start pairing these two together, and it can get kinda deadly. And there's the reason we can't 100% this level right now. We can't get the red gem until later when we find another way through this level. There is a way to reach that right now if you jumped on that seal I was just killing and do kind of the slide spin jump thing on top of him. I've done it. I'm not describing it too well, but it's possible. Also, notable, this level's name is a pun off of the phrase no go. There's going to be a lot of those in this game. This game is full of puns for its level names, and it's just like Crash 1 in that regard, and I actually really do like that. Also, if it's not clear by the cutscenes by now, Crash 2 has a lot more of a voice acting budget than Crash 1 did, in that, I mean, there's more than one person doing all the voices. And the most notable case of that is Cortex himself. He's now voiced by Clancy Brown, who most people would know as Lex Luthor from the Superman animated series, Mr. Krabs. I think he was Baron Praxis in Jak 2, Hades in God of War 3. He was Surtur in Thor Ragnarok. I remember realizing that in the theaters. I think he was a Mr. Freeze and Bane in The Batman. That one asshole earthbending guy who led the Dai Li, I think, in Avatar. Anything else I can think of off the top of my head? Nothing I can think of otherwise. But yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. Anyway, that's what it looks like when you don't get the gem, but you don't need to worry. I actually didn't miss any boxes outright. There are a few instances in this game where you can no longer backtrack for boxes, in the ice levels especially. But what I'm missing is an exclamation point block on top of this that I need to, at the peak of this jump, hit the belly flop to get. And it's always a bit annoying to reach for some reason. So I always need to make sure that I'm right close to the center of this box to hit it. It's one of those boxes that you can see coming from when you're farther back in the level, but you need to have your eye out for it. And that's the clear gem for this level all done. Can't get the red gem yet, but we'll be back for that eventually. Alright, now what's actually coming up, you're going to notice a jump cut. That's because the way I recorded these levels is I did them on a level per level basis, and I exited the level to have a good intro edit in between them. And when I did that, a cutscene activated because I had gotten a gem, so we're going to watch that right now after this level.
So, you were helping Cortex gather crystals. Yet you have acquired a gem. Interesting. Well, Crash, know this. As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you. If the fate of the world is truly your concern, you must gather the gems, not the crystals. If you obtain all 42 gems, I can use them to focus a laser beam that will destroy Cortex and the space station he's created. Until then, I must use my forces to stop you from gathering crystals.
You okay, Embryo? You kind of cut yourself out there. Yeah, that happens for some reason when the way I recorded this, it caused all the dialogue loops to end like a second early. So some people are going to cut off their words ever so slightly. Either way, welcome to Hang 8, which I absolutely love the song for, especially in Insane Trilogy, even though I got a bit too radical surfer dude in that particular mix. These replace the stream levels from Crash 1, and they still have those asshole plants. However, unlike Crash 1, they're no longer instant kill. And in particular, they have a new gimmick in this little rocket board. The way it works is that you're actually always slightly moving forward, but you need to basically tank control your way through it, because when you turn left, you don't immediately pick up left. You slowly drift towards left until you're facing it. And you might notice that very obvious timer on the bottom right. That happens when you reach the first checkpoint. I forget if it's ticking down before you reach it, but essentially that means you have that much time to reach the end in order to get the second clear gem for this stage. Because levels no longer just have a gem to them. They can have more, just like the crystal. A lot of stages will have 2 gems, be it a second clear gem or a color gem to them, just to have you have an extra thing to do in those levels. Sometimes it's a little race like this, sometimes it's just finding the right alternate path, and in other times it's a semi-returning element from Crash 1. However, in cases like this, I always just make sure to get the clear gem and then routinely kill myself to get sent back to the first checkpoint where I can get all the boxes. Because that's the smart and faster thing to do. Either way, Hang 8 has a total of 74 boxes in it you can be looking out for, 11 in the bonus, and you saw the blue gem earlier, so we're going to be riding that, and there are 40 boxes on that route. In order to get the gold relic in this level, you need to reach the end in under 1 minute and 2 seconds and 93 hundredths of a second. Thankfully, that might sound strict, but again, you might recall I even mentioned it in Crash 1. Whenever you're doing a time trial in a Crash game, the boxes have their content slightly changed. Many boxes are changed into yellow boxes with red numbers on them that freeze the timer for the amount of seconds marked on the box. Basically, they're inverse TNTs, even. And I think this level in particular had a good amount of 2-second ones. Doesn't mean it's easy, because... Well, I think Crash 2 is much more built around going fast and streamlined over Crash 1's much more stop-and-go platforming. Crash 3 was much better about how it was built around going fast, so it's much more notable in that case. Still, not entirely bad. There's only like 2 or 3 levels in this game that I think are a bit ugh when you're going for the relics. And I'll make sure to note those when we get to them. Ugh. Also noticeable, whenever you go onto a secondary route, be it a bonus route or a gem route like that, we actually get a slight riff on the music changed, and they all sounds pretty good. In fact, Crash 2 soundtrack is my absolute favorite in the series. I think Crash 3 has some catchier music, But it also has some music I don't find as memorable, so this comes out being the overall better one in my eyes. Death perception, help me! Shit. Comparatively, I do think Crash 2 has one thing better than Crash 1. Well, it has a lot better than Crash 1, obviously. But it has one thing that's much more refined, in that whenever you're in levels like this, where you don't need to have the camera immediately behind you, it zooms the camera out and up a little bit so you can actually see what's below you and where your drop shadow's going, making platforming a lot easier than, say, the stream levels. Though, admittedly, the stream levels in Crash 1, for instance, did have more of a laid-back camera to begin with, so you can see more of what's going on. But it's even more noticeable in Crash 2's exist. Also notable, I mentioned in Crash 1 that there existed hints from Aku Aku about what to do in certain levels. That returned in Crash 2 in the Japanese version. However, unlike Crash 1, he's actually voiced there, which means more so than Crash 3, Crash 2 is where Aku Aku actually had a voice. Obviously, we don't have that here in the States, so it doesn't really matter, but it's worth noting, I guess. And there's the Nitro box that we need to break, so now that's all those done. Also, I'm just now noticing it. I thought that was something N.Gin Trilogy added. Huh. If you look around the gem platforms, they actually have a bit more of a stony rim around them. I thought that was something N.Gin Trilogy added. I guess now that I'm on the lookout for it, it's actually there. It's just the same color as the rest of the gem in this game, which is interesting. Notable, it is possible to miss the surfboard, though. You need to jump over, basically, but if you're saying trying to jump on it, it's very possible you might jump over it, so be careful there. Whenever you see ramps like this, you can just boost over them to get some actual airtime. You need to do that in a lot of instances like that, so just keep that in mind. With that, though, we've reached the end of the stage, and wow, that poor plant was barely on screen for a second. That is, I believe, everything in this level obtained. Nice. I actually like that they give you more to do in the levels in this game, just because it makes them feel more full, even more so than just adding the box slash crates in the first game to actually give you something to do. I always appreciate when they realize something can be a bit more interesting like that in the sequel. Also, I'd start skipping the stats eventually, don't worry.
3 crystals. Not bad. I see you are getting the hang of it. I need to conserve power. I will communicate with you again after you retrieve the 5th crystal.
Which is actually notable now that I think about it. You can skip basically every cutscene in the game, including the crash dance, by pressing the triangle button. I think the only one that doesn't apply for is placing the gems and crystals in the sockets above the doors. Either way, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2, we'll be entering the 4th stage, the rest of Tier 1 rather, and heading after our first boss fight. See you guys then.